Welcome back to another independent gossip news explainer right here in the USA. Today, we're doing something a little bit different and honestly, a whole lot bigger. We are breaking down the absolute most impossibly covert, highest stakes celebrity event of the modern era. Bar none. We are taking a giant, high-powered magnifying glass to the July 3rd, 2026 wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Now listen, you might be sitting there thinking you've already heard all the rumors, read all the tweets, and seen all the blurry footage online, but we are looking exclusively at the confirmed, verified mechanics of how this massive cultural milestone was actually pulled off in real life. We're going to look at the ground-level tactics, the minute-by-minute timeline, the breathtaking couture, and of course that incredibly exclusive, mind-blowing guest list. This wasn't just a wedding, guys. This was a highly classified, military-grade operation right smack in the heart of the city that never sleeps. It was bigger, it was more surprising, and honestly, it was more quintessentially Taylor Swift than absolutely anyone could have predicted.
So here is the million-dollar question we have to start with. How exactly do you hide a 1,000-person mega wedding in the absolute middle of New York City? And we aren't just talking about a quiet little ballroom somewhere hidden away in Brooklyn. We're talking about Madison Square Garden, MSG, the world's most famous arena. New York City essentially had to completely shut down for this to happen. Now sure, everyone kind of predicted the venue beforehand. Swift's own publicist eventually confirmed it took place there that evening, so the venue was exactly where all the rumors said it would be. But here's the catch. Knowing where an event is happening and actually seeing inside that event are two entirely different things. To pull this off, the team behind this massive undertaking had to turn a very public, very massive arena into an impenetrable fortress. They literally had to control the physical space on the ground, the visual airspace above it, and the flow of literally the most famous people on the entire planet, all without a single, unauthorized paparazzi camera catching a glimpse of the bride before she was good and ready. It is an absolute logistical masterpiece. It's like Ocean's 11 but for a wedding, and we are going to break down exactly how they achieve the impossible.
All right, let's get into phase one, locking down the grid.
Okay, so let's talk about the day before the wedding, July 2nd. The barricades didn't just go up at the front doors of the garden. Oh no, they went up around the entire venue. The whole surrounding block was completely locked down. We are talking about over 100 NYPD officers deployed around Penn Station ahead of the event. Just think about the sheer scale of that for a second. Penn Station is right there underneath MSG. It is one of the busiest transit hubs on the globe, with hundreds of thousands of commuters moving through it daily. And right above it, you have a perimeter of over 100 actual police officers standing guard to ensure the footprint of Madison Square Garden was absolutely unequivocally secure. This wasn't just some private security firm with clipboards and earpieces. This was a massive, highly coordinated effort with the city's police force to ensure that the immediate area around the venue was completely airtight. No one was getting close unless they were supposed to be there. Then we get to the day of. The July 3rd operation ran like absolute clockwork. In the morning, Taylor was spotted leaving her New York City apartment. Now for the fans, that was the ultimate signal to the entire city that the wedding day had officially begun. Then, right around 3 p.m., the covert convoys began their precise movements, which we're going to detail in just a second because it is wild. And then, the ceremony officially started at exactly 7:25 p.m. Now listen to me. If you know anything at all about Taylor Swift, you know for a fact that nothing, and I mean nothing, is ever a coincidence. A 7:25 p.m. start time is incredibly specific, right? It's not 7 p.m., it's not 7:30 p.m. In Taylor's world, numbers always hold a deeper meaning, 7 and 25. The exact timing of 7:25 was executed to the absolute minute, not a second late. Every single piece of the timeline was deliberate.
And while the ground was completely locked down by the NYPD, the city skyline itself actually became part of the wedding aesthetic. The entire city of New York was celebrating, whether they planned to or not. That evening, the Empire State Building, arguably New York's most iconic landmark, was lit up entirely in a brilliant blue. It literally served as Taylor's something blue for the wedding. I mean, how incredibly iconic is that? Talk about a flex. But it wasn't just the building. The sky itself started glowing. All across the city, massive digital billboards lit up with the letters JST and TMRD, just married, but with the T obviously standing for Taylor and Travis. And these billboards were glowing in this very distinct, very familiar lavender haze. The city glowing was just the beginning of the signals, loudly broadcasting this massive celebration to millions of New Yorkers while simultaneously keeping the actual physical event completely hidden from view.
Which brings us to phase 2, the underground entry protocol.
Okay, so getting 1,000 A-listers inside a venue without anyone getting mobbed is a total nightmare. It required a highly tactical 3-step entry protocol. Every single detail of how people got in was controlled to the letter.
First, guests who were staying at the Ritz-Carlton Nomad were specifically invited to ride in dedicated pre-screened cars that were headed straight to MSG. Celebrities were spotted by fans getting into these cars one by one at the hotel. Second, and this is where it gets crazy, when those cars arrived at Madison Square Garden, they didn't just pull up to a curb like a normal red carpet. No way. They drove directly into fully enclosed, customized, opaque tents. Once the car was completely inside the tent flaps were closed off, sealed up, and only then did everyone get out of the vehicle. Finally, step 3, the guests proceeded via the underground VIP entrance, completely shielded from the public, the drones, and the press. It was literally like moving gold into Fort Knox.
But here is where the absolute genius really shines through: the decoy operation. Starting around 3 p.m., an endless stream of black cars with fully tinted, anti-transparent windows began arriving at MSG. One after another, they drove right into that tent, ostensibly dropped people off, and then, here's the magic trick, minutes later those exact same cars kept coming back out, and they just didn't stop. They created a continuous rolling loop of black SUVs, creating massive confusion for the paparazzi about who was actually inside and where they were going. It was a giant shell game. But the one car everyone was really waiting for was Taylor's, and she didn't use the black cars at all. The bride arrived in a single bulletproof silver Chevrolet Suburban. This was the exact same SUV she had been using throughout the rehearsal dinner. Totally tinted windows, literally bulletproof, completely impossible to see inside. It entirely bypassed that main decoy loop and disappeared straight into the underground VIP entrance, completely separate from every other guest. Flawless execution.
Let's pivot to Phase 3, breaking tradition.
Now, heading into this, everyone, and I mean literally everyone on the internet, was completely convinced that Taylor's bridesmaids would be Selena Gomez, Gigi Hadid, and her entire famous inner circle. The whole squad, right? But Taylor proved everyone dead wrong. There were absolutely zero bridesmaids or groomsmen at the wedding. None at all. No massive wedding party. Instead, she chose her brother, Austin Swift, to stand right beside her as her man of honor. Taylor has always been crystal clear that family comes first, and this marriage was absolutely no exception. And on the groom's side, well, nobody was really surprised by this one. It was Jason Kelce as the best man, Travis's older brother, his co-host on the incredibly popular New Heights podcast, the very person Travis famously told, "You're the only reason why we wear 87. They've been side by side through every Super Bowl, every podcast episode, every single moment that ever mattered. So they completely ditched the massive Hollywood entourages and chose strictly their brothers to stand beside them at the altar. And speaking of the altar, if you were betting on who would actually officiate this wedding, chances are you did not have this name on your bingo card. A statement provided by a representative for Swift confirmed that the ceremony was officially officiated by their friend Adam Sandler. Yes, the Sandman himself. Among everyone she could have possibly chosen in the entire world, Taylor picked Adam. Now you might be asking, why? Because the bond there is actually incredibly genuine. Taylor has been very close with Adam's family for years now. Adam's kids know every single Taylor Swift song, they absolutely love it, they've heard her music since they were little girls. They genuinely adore each other in real life. But still, nobody expected him to be the one standing between Taylor and Travis on their wedding day, pronouncing them husband and wife. It was a massive, out-of-left-field surprise, yet a deeply personal and genuinely heartwarming choice. Moving right along to Phase 4, couture and covert decor. When it came to the fashion of the evening, absolutely nobody saw this coming. Not one single guest or high-end fashion insider got it right. People were guessing she'd wear Vivienne Westwood, maybe predicting she'd go for a cool, edgy vibe, but the confirmed custom loadout was pure, classic, unadulterated prestige. Both the bride and the groom wore Christian Dior haute couture. And guys, this wasn't just pulled off the rack, it was entirely custom-built from scratch just for this one night by one of the most prestigious fashion houses in the entire world. The tailoring, the fabric, everything was kept under lock and key until the second they stepped out. For the footwear, they went with Christian Louboutin, complete with those iconic, instantly recognizable red soles flashing as they walked. And to finish the look, the bride wore absolutely stunning Cartier jewelry. The woman literally did not miss a single detail. It was classic, it was elite, and it was completely, wonderfully unexpected. Now let's talk about the venue itself. Madison Square Garden is a massive, cavernous space. It's built for hockey games and rock concerts. A simple floral arrangement was never, ever going to be enough for Taylor Swift. The physical transformation of the arena was staggering. We are talking about a giant love story-style castle fence built inside the room. A customized 70s muscle car sitting right there on the floor. This wasn't a traditional wedding. It was a fully immersive, multi-day set build. Since July 1st, construction crews were inside building what looked honestly more like a brand new Array's tour production than a wedding reception. They brought in a massive grand piano, likely the exact kind she uses on tour, along with a giant painting labeled VIP. Most of the decoration was done in clean, romantic white and green, absolutely full of beautiful living flowers. They even had gazebo roofs and fully functioning game tents set up inside the arena. And that 70s muscle car, it came complete with those exact same JST and TMRD license plates, and a special Taylor and Travis marriage logo. The attention to detail is just staggering.
And now, we arrive at Phase 5, the ultimate VIP manifest. This guest list is all about loyalty, plain and simple. Let's look at the day one Swifties first. First up, Abigail Anderson, Taylor's childhood best friend since she was just 14 years old. Taylor even wrote the iconic song 15 about her. She was front and center at the bachelorette party, and of course, she was right at the top of the wedding list. Then, Selena Gomez, 17 years of deep friendship. Taylor actually wore gold to Selena's wedding as a bridesmaid, and incredibly intentionally, Selena showed up to Taylor's wedding wearing gold too. That is real friendship right there. Next, the absolute shocker of the night, Karlie Kloss. After years and years of distance following the whole Scooter Braun situation and a major, highly publicized falling out, they quietly reconciled, and Karlie actually made the final list. And finally, Tree Payne, her fierce publicist for over a decade. Tree's the one who has been aggressively protecting Taylor's story through every single era, every bit of drama, every massive comeback. At this point, she isn't just staff, she is absolute family.
Now, the Hollywood and music elite entrances alone were totally insane. Jay-Z and Blue Ivy, literally the most powerful music family on the planet, arrived by helicopter specifically for this wedding. Steven Spielberg, the legendary Hollywood director who inducted Taylor into the Songwriters Hall of Fame back in June 2026, he also arrived by helicopter exactly 1 month later. Then you have the incredible UK and acting connections. Hugh Grant and his wife actually secured an invite after Hugh posted a massive viral tribute following the Wembley Eras tour, and partly because Travis actually mistook Hugh's wife for Greta Gerwig. Hugh happily accepted the invite despite the hilarious mix-up. Ethan Hawke and his wife were there, riding high off Hawke's incredible surprise cameo in the Fortnite music video. The elite interconnections are just fascinating to look at. Baz Luhrmann, the legendary director of Moulin Rouge, was there. Ed Sheeran, who is essentially Taylor's second brother at this point, made it. Zoe Kravitz was there, rocking a very posh garden party outfit, along with Dita Von Teese from the Bejeweled music video. It is a roster of absolute heavyweights.
But don't think it was just musicians and actors. On Travis's side of the aisle, the NFL Brotherhood showed up in full force, proving once and for all that these bonds run significantly deeper than any Sunday team rivalries. You had Ross Travis, the former Chiefs tight end, and Travis's closest personal friend. He's the guy you always see in the suite sitting right next to Taylor at games. He's basically Travis's version of Abigail. Kareem Hunt, the Chiefs running back, who was there for Travis's Super Bowl wins, was there for the biggest win of his personal life too. Then you have guys like Matthew Stafford, the Rams quarterback. A different team entirely, but that fierce NFL Brotherhood bond secured him a prime spot on the list. Even Joe Buck and his wife were there. The man who has been calling Travis Kelce's name on national television for years, from the biggest playoff games to now the biggest night of his life. Oh, and Jason Sudeikis, a massive Chiefs fan who famously publicly teased Travis about making things official with Taylor at a 2024 charity event. Well, Travis clearly got the message, and Sudeikis was right there in the crowd cheering them on.
Just to emphasize the sheer scale of this, and to prove that Madison Square Garden briefly held the densest concentration of celebrity power on Earth, let's run through this rapid-fire roster. Get ready. You had the absolute Hollywood heavy hitters, Brad Pitt, Emma Stone, Reese Witherspoon, Tom Hanks, and Sir Paul McCartney. You had the incredible new guard of music, Gracie Abrams, Ice Spice, and Tate McRae. You had late-night television royalty, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Conan O'Brien all in the same room. The decade-long friendships were out in full force with Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper. She even brought in her country music roots with Kelsea Ballerini, Miranda Lambert, and Maren Morris. Throw in SNL's Bowen Young, Dakota Johnson, Machine Gun Kelly, and the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. I mean, are you kidding me? Every famous face, every household name, all packed securely into one highly secured, impenetrable room.
So, here's where we leave things. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce just pulled off the undisputed, most secretive wedding of the decade. They fully locked down a major city block, deployed an endless fleet of decoys, built a massive, mind-blowing custom set inside an arena, and somehow managed to sneak 1,000 of the most famous, heavily photographed people on Earth through an underground tunnel without a single hitch. It is an absolute masterclass in security, PR, and logistics.
Which brings us to a very, very provocative thought. If they can successfully hide an event this incredibly massive, right in the middle of Manhattan, what else is the ultimate PR machine keeping secret from us? Think about it. We'll be tracking every leak and hidden detail from this night. Thanks for tuning in to this independent gossip news explainer. Keep your eyes open, and we'll see you next time.